Alright guys, what's happening? I'm just gonna see if I can see you on my phone here. Welcome to another live video. It's Mike Mutzel with High Intensity Health. I'm very grateful and honored that you're here, that you're showing up, that you're tuning in. I'm just gonna check the comment feed here so I can see you guys. It says that we're on, cool. Alright, so if you're joining us, a few of you are hopping on right now, as always, please just leave a comment where you're watching this from, what you think of the low carb ketogenic style diet, microbiome health. We've got a few coming in right now. Hello from Wales. Hey there from Wales. So awesome that you're joining us. So hang with us towards the end. I'm going to give away a book here, and we're going to talk all about fasting if you're sick. Is that a good idea or not? And then also lithium orotate as a tool to help you overcome potentially seasonal affective disorder and the feelings of, depression and malaise and maybe the anxiety that may come, for those of us that live in North America, northern latitudes right now where the days are pretty short. So at the end, I'm going to give away a book here. So please stay with us for the moment. But as always, let's dive right into the content. So, and then here's lithium. Here's one of my all-time favorite Neurologic products. And for all the links that we're going to talk about today, I put the links in the YouTube description just below this. That's my wife in the background making some raw bread. All right, so let's talk about fasting. One of the best times to fast is when you're sick. And so if you've tuned into the video interview that we recently did with Walter Longo, you know that prolonged fasting has a huge influence not only on our body's ability to burn fat and, compress that glucose response and downregulate insulin response, but prolonged fasting also has a huge impact within and on the immune system. So, it's a great time, a great, strategy. If you are, that was my wife, if you are feeling sick, it's a great time to fast. And, it makes sense, during the winter time that if you do start to feel a little sick and lethargic, you don't want to burden your body by, loading up on a bunch of food and burden the GI tract and burden the immune system with having to respond to that food and see if it's, is that an allergen, or is there any pathogens within the meal when you're already being stressed or challenged from, say, a virus or some sort of bacterial infection and so forth. So, again, fasting is a great strategy if you are feeling like you're coming down with something, if you're feeling ill. Now, what you want to do is obviously increase your body's hydration and then also get into the sauna. So I'm going to share with you a little tips about that. So I love one of the time-tested strategies, that my parents told me a long, long time ago. Anytime we started to feel sick or a sore throat, is take sea salt and gargle it with some warm water. So that seems to help. So you just take like 2 tablespoons of salt. You want it to be very rich in salt. Gargle it with some warm water and then spit it out. And then increase your electrolytes in your sea salt intake and hydration. So that's a great strategy if you're starting to feel sick. Also adding in some selenium, some N-acetylcysteine, and vitamin D. So that can be very, very helpful. Now, I'll put links below this of some of the products that I recommend that you can find on Amazon wherever you do live. But vitamin D, you can be a little bit liberal with the dosing. A lot of people get a little bit scared about this because, for example, in Canada, I think the upper recommended limit is like 800 IUs per day. Here in the States, you're starting to find more capsule type products of vitamin D that have maybe 2,000 or 4,000 IUs. But if you're feeling like you're getting an acute illness of some sort, whether it's a flu or a sore throat, your body's starting to feel that warm response and so on, which will affect your glycemic response, which I'll talk about in a minute, you definitely want to increase your vitamin D intake. Now, you can go up, I've gone up to as high as 50,000 IUs per day. Obviously, we're not, curing or preventing any diseases on this channel. I'm just sharing with you my personal experience. You need to work with a healthcare practitioner to see what's best for you and your condition. But in a short-term situation, that's what I personally do. Yeah, I can't tell you what to do. That's just a tip that I found to be helpful for me. So again, you can crank up that vitamin D in a short-term scenario. You do you do want to test your vitamin D levels. So if you don't want to do this for a long period of time because there are, complications associated with excessive levels of vitamin D, hypercalcium excessive levels of calcium in the urine and also the bloodstream, which could be problematic. So get your blood work, see where your vitamin D levels are at, see where your calcium levels are at. But high doses short term can be helpful. Also, vitamin A can be helpful too. A liquid vitamin A, high dose, can be very helpful in an acute situation. because these fat-soluble vitamins do play a key, they do participate in many aspects of our body's immune response. Selenium can be helpful, as well as I mentioned N-acetylcysteine. There's a myriad of different herbs that can also be very helpful if you do get sick. But fasting is a great strategy. Getting extra sleep, taking it easy, not trying to push the envelope too much. You're not trying to squeeze in a workout or squeeze in extra hours, and just try to get to bed early. That can really help you. And that actually helped me. My wife and my daughter both got the flu this week, somehow miraculously, and I could get very sick tonight. I don't want to speak too soon, but I was able to avert that through these strategies that I'm telling you right now. So prioritizing sleep, getting off the mobile devices before bed, and this is the other thing that's very important, getting daylight during the day. So even if you start to feel sick, yet, the natural tendency is to recline and go back to bed and stay inside and watch Netflix or whatever, read a book, but getting out and training your body's circadian rhythms, that can help. Because remember, your immune system responds to sleep and wake cycles as well. Circadian biology is really profound and governs the immune system. So we want to entrain our body's immune system, make sure that we're responding, to the messages at the right time and so forth. So those are the tips that I have, and I want to transition a little bit to seasonal affective disorder and talk about depression, how intermittent fasting and ketosis can help there, and also some supplements. But I want to make sure I have my phone here. Here's the camera, phone's right here. Wow, got a lot of comments. Holy crap. All right, I'm going to have to pull the phone off so that I can make sure that I address your comments. As always, guys, if you're enjoying this content, if you're here right now, hit that like button if you like, what we're talking about. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. That really helps us and will help get you notified when we come out with new videos, which, by the way, later on today, I'm posting a video with Dr. Ted Naiman all about insulin and insulin response and the kind of metabolic environment and crosstalk between our muscle and our fat tissue. It's super, super fascinating. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and you'll be notified when that comes out. All right, guys. Ken says, I'm sick right now, so this is just perfect. So Ken, if you're just coming on, hit that rewind button. We talked about high-dose vitamin A, high-dose vitamin D, getting good sleep, getting sunlight during the day. I recommend, even if it's cloudy, even if it's cold, a bare minimum of 20 minutes of just walking outside. Again, even that cloud cover is enough to kind of, get your body's circadian biology back on board. And remember, your immune system responds to sleep-wake cycles. And if you're inside all day watching Netflix or you're sick, you're not going to re-entrain your body's biological rhythms. So just get outside, force it a little bit, obviously bundle up, but get your eyes exposed to the natural light. Okay, Dwight says, I like saying circadian. I know, Dwight, it is kind of fun. Circadian biology. But it makes sense, whether we're talking about fat hormones, whether like leptin, whether we're talking about cortisol, whether we're talking about testosterone, whether we're talking about burning fat for fuel or building muscle, there's different windows that we can exploit a little bit, meaning the time of day that we participate in certain activities, we can hijack that a little bit. Like, for example, fasted cardio first thing in the morning can help you burn fat better and help you burn fat throughout the day versus just cardio at night. So those are small little tips that we share in our members area and so on. Michelle says, I love me some Naiman. You're going to love this interview. It was really, really, really fun. So, usually the workflow, Sam and I, as you know, Rudy Studios, he's the man behind the scenes of a lot of the videos that we produce on this channel. Our workflow has changed a little bit because we're trying to really incorporate like a little snippet before the video, like a summary, and help our show sponsors like Health IQ and Somnifix make sure that they get proper recognition for all the help that they offer and help continue this YouTube channel and this podcast. So our workflow's changed slightly in the last few weeks, and that's why normally I like to have these posted Friday morning, so you have the weekend to enjoy and consume the content. But we're working on that. Hey, from Denmark, thanks so much for coming on. So awesome here. Michelle thought you were spying on me. Spive21, thanks for being back again. I recognize you. That's awesome. Okay, so someone says, fasting is great. Ramadan is always my favorite month. Awesome. So along the lines of fasting, and remember, guys, in just a few minutes, I'm going to give this book away. So start thinking about genes. And I'm going to check the comments here. Anyone that can tell me how we make carnitine. okay, where carnitine comes from, meaning the process in the body through which carnitine is synthesized. I'm going to give this book away. So if you're watching this right now, you can get a free book by Dr. Ben Lynch. It's called Dirty Genes. As you know, Ben is a great friend of mine, and he gave me a few extra copies. So I'm going to give one away to you. I'm going to be watching the comments right now. And so type in the comments, how do we get carnitine? Okay, carnitine, as you know, is the receptor of sorts. It's kind of a transport-like, so on the cell membrane, we have carnitine transport shuttles so that we can get free fatty acids into the cells so we can burn fat as fuel. Now, there's a key process, a key way in which carnitine is made, a cycle of sorts, a biological biochemical pathway. And I want you to think about this because it connects the dots between the foods that we eat, our genes, and how we can burn fat as fuel. So I'm going to be watching the comments. Whoever gets this right, you're getting a free book. All right. So Ben and I, by the way, just recorded a absolutely wonderful podcast that I'm going to be posting on Tuesday morning on this channel. So tune in for that. He's the author, again, of Dirty Genes. You can check him out on drbenlynch.com. And there's a great summit going on. Click the link in the YouTube description. It's called the Dirty Genes Summit, which I was on. Ryan and Hillary Lampers, Ben Greenfield. There's a lot of amazing people where you can learn about how to optimize your biology and how to make your genes mesh with your environment and your biology. It's really, really fun stuff. All right. Seasonal affective disorder and depression. This can affect a lot of people, and one of the main benefits, I think, in my eyes, of the ketogenic diet, particularly this time of year when it's dark, when the days are short, when it's cold, when you're not outside as much, one of the main benefits of intermittent fasting and eating a low-carb, high-fat style diet is your blood sugar levels are on an even keel. Your neurochemistry is more on an even keel. You're not craving, carbohydrates and alcohol and things like that because ketones tend to have that positive effect on food cravings, on appetite and food preferences, and there's not the blood sugar peaks and valleys that cause your adrenals to fire and then you get, all that. There's just more resilience and consistency. So if you're ever feeling depressed or down or, oh man, how am I going to make it through this winter, or suicidal ideations, or if you have a friend or family member that experiences that, definitely recommend that they implement some level of time-restricted feeding. So compressing that feeding window down, it's a great way to get your body to become more fat adapted and keto adapted. Add in some exercise, get outside, get some natural sunlight, and then train your body's circadian biology by getting full sun exposure or cloudy exposure onto your retina. It's very, very key, guys, especially in the morning. By the way, that's why I love gardening and recommend home gardening. That's why I love backyard chickens, because just the maintenance required to sustain a garden, grow vegetables and grow chickens, it forces you to get outside first thing in the morning. So that's why it's been a huge, not only is the food quality better if you can try to grow your own, but it forces you to get outside first thing in the morning, whereas sometimes we can brush that off, we get on social media, whatever. Anyway, I digress. Lithium orotate is a supplement that can be very, very helpful. So as I mentioned, there's a link below here to Amazon where you can get this product. Lithium orotate by Seeking Health. All right. I'm a huge fan of lithium. Recently did an interview, it was 2 years ago. James Greenblatt, I also posted the link to that interview below this, where we talk about the biological mechanisms through which lithium orotate. This is a trace mineral that should be found in our water, but a lot of us are thankfully drinking filtered water, so we're filtering out fluoride and chlorine and arsenic and lead and all that. Well, guess what? When we get reverse osmosis water or we filter our water, all the healthy minerals go away with that. So while on the one side we're doing things to improve our health by not ingesting excessive amounts of biological toxins and things that are added into our water, but at the same time, we're kind of not getting as much of the minerals that we should be getting, the trace elements, molybdenum and lithium and, magnesium and, zinc, things like that are naturally found in mineral water. So one of these trace minerals, lithium orotate, can be very, very helpful for you this time of year. Again, if you're feeling like, oh man, I'm feeling a little depressed, I'm feeling a little anxious, I'm craving sunlight. Obviously, get outside, get some, even if it's cloudy and so forth, but lithium can be very, very helpful. There's a lot of great research on how microdosing lithium, these are 5 milligram capsules, I'll go up to 15 milligrams per day. James Greenblatt talks about, again, the biology and how lithium It's synergistic biochemical pathways that are achieved when one is in a fasted state, or is exercising, or is in a state of nutritional ketosis. So these are congruent and synergistic pathways, which is why I really like this product and really like the keto diet for that application. As many of you have, I think I've shared this a few times, so some of you do know this. Let's see, it was in 2005, this time of year, January in 2005, I hit like rock bottom from a mental state. I wasn't really, I was overtraining. I wanted to be a pro cyclist. I was finishing college, getting my biology degree at Western Washington University. And I remember this in January. It was so tough in Bellingham. It was so dark, so depressing. I could barely get up off my floor. I remember one Saturday morning, it was probably around like the 20th of the month in January. I just felt so depressed. And one of the ways that I overcame that was cutting out the carbohydrates in my diet. It was an old friend of mine, Greg, back in 2002, he recommended like, hey, if you want to lose weight, cut out the carbs and, crank up the dietary fats. I didn't really know what a keto diet was at that point. I was eating more of a bodybuilding style diet, but it was super interesting. So then, I kind of reverted back to that when I was really down in the dumps and didn't know what to do, how to overcome this. So I started just riding my bike during the day, cutting out the processed foods. And then I came across this thing called the paleo diet and Loren Cordain's research back then. And that's what changed my life. So I'm here to, help you embrace some of these nutritional tools and strategies and lifestyle changes so that you can have, more productivity, more mental clarity, better mood, overcome things like depression or being obese or having blood sugar dysregulation. So that's the whole message of this channel. So if you drive with that message, please hit that like button. I feel like I've been talking too much and I need to check in on the comment feed. So remember that if you can win this book, I'm going to send it out to you in the mail today. Okay? Dirty Genes by Dr. Ben Lynch. Okay. How do we make carnitine? What biochemical process or cycle is involved in carnitine synthesis? Why is this important? Because carnitine is the shuttle to get fatty acids into your cells so they can be burned as fuel. All right, so we got some questions here. Rockstar Fitness says that's a lot of lithium, which can trigger hypothyroidism. Yeah, we're talking about 15 micrograms, or milligrams. So it's really not that much. If you were getting into the 30 or 50 milligram range, that's where things could be problematic. But using this time of year, 10 to 15 milligrams, probably not that big of a deal. But Rockstar Fitness, thanks for showing up here. Pain, depression, Fire Fang, something. I can't really tell what you're trying to say here. Kulpreet says, I've experienced some stress and pain in my heart, back area, and any ideas about what could be going on? You got to see a healthcare practitioner. We can't diagnose on this channel and so forth. So Spive21 says, my depression completely gone since going keto and IF. That's amazing, Spive. Thanks for that. Spive21, by the way, where do you live? I know you're on here a lot, so I'm just curious about that. Firefang13 says, an orange or red plant pigment found in carrots and many other plant structures. So I was talking about carnitine, not beta carotene. Carnitine. All right, Dwight Clark says derived from methylation and the amino acids. Dwight, you might be our winner here. Let me just check in. All right, Kathleen says carnitine from Krebs cycle. Kathleen, I really, really appreciate you coming on here. But yeah, that's one way in which carnitine can be made. But Dwight was a little bit closer, that he's on the right track where it's methylation cycle. So I'm just going to go through here. Dwight says, I'm a shift worker, work 3 to 11. Does this jeopardize my health? Dwight, unfortunately it does. It does, Dwight. Hold on one second here. So, not to be going all over the place here, but in this book, my book that I authored over 4 years ago now, which is crazy. Anyway, chapter 8, all about circadian biology. So if obviously you can go into the medical research and read more into this. But what I want to show you, Dwight, is some of the diagrams that might help you better understand, how your environment affects your biology. And so circadian rhythms are a huge aspect of gut health, of burning fat for fuel, of mitochondrial function, detox, cancer prevention, all that. So Dwight, this book, this could help you understand about shift working. Now, there's some workarounds, some things that you can do. So what you can do is supplement with melatonin. You can really get a lot of good, daylight, even if it's cloudy out, and you can wear dark glasses while you're working. So those are some of the tips. All right. Let's see here. So Michelle, she's recovering from the flu, but she fasted for 5 days. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, so Michelle, she says she felt like she should have more micronutrients to affect her immune system. Michelle, couldn't agree with you more. So one of the things that my wife Deanna made while she was recovering from the flu is a vegetable broth. So again, rich in potassium, rich in minerals and electrolytes. You want to bring it out?
Yeah.
So Deanna's going to grab the veggie broth. Deanna, say hello.
Hey guys.
So she's going to show us the veggie broth that she made it when she recovered from the flu. So if you're interested in that, it's coming here in a second. All right, so who's going to be the winner here? Dwight, I think you're on board. So U Self Redefined says carnitine is synthesized out of lysine and methionine, which are amino acids. Yes, U Self Refined. This takes place in the liver and kidneys. Thank you for that. Carnitine transports fatty acids towards cytoplasm and mitochondria. Awesome. So really appreciate that. You Self-Refined. So Dwight and You Self-Refined, please send me an email, mike@highintensityhealth.com. Again, that's mike@highintensityhealth.com with your address. All right, please do so. So we got a lot. Oh my gosh, we got a lot of comments here coming in here. All right, so Vest Foodify, Mike, she says, Mike, any books or guides recommended for vegans on a ketogenic diet? Deanna, you gonna bring the broth over here?
Yeah, you guys want to see it?
So here, why don't you hop in the frame here and explain what's in it?
Hey.
You gotta stand
So
right there.
yeah, I had the flu. And so in this, there's tons of turmeric, garlic, ginger. I'm not kidding, like lots and lots of it. So red curry. So I wanted the heat. Oh my gosh,
Hot.
it's really hot. I'm sorry.
It's really hot. It's good though.
And
So a lot of phytonutrients,
herbs.
a lot of herbs, a lot of minerals.
Yeah, good stuff. I'm gonna cool this down.
Yeah, it's way too hot. Okay, so the question about what books or resources for veganism on a keto diet, which I think the diehard keto people don't like that idea, but the problem is, since we have a lot of you on right now, the problem with a lot of meat on a ketogenic diet is most people are not paying attention to like food quality. So they're getting bacon wrapped in plastic, cheese wrapped in plastic, all this stuff that's these endocrine disrupting chemicals that when their food is packaged in affect our biology in a negative way. So I'm not philosophically opposed to meat and all that sort of thing, but I think we should really be pushing people to hand harvest their food, grow some backyard chickens and eat them instead of supporting the factory farm chickens. The energy that we get from the food that we eat, not just the biological energy, but I'm talking about like the chi, the flow, the mojo. A lot of the animals, the pork that people eat, the bacon products, the pork rinds, the chicken, whatever, even the beef, are coming from animals that really went through hellacious conditions to get to your plate. And so they're transmuting that energy to you, right? I mean, this sounds out there. I know this sounds totally crazy, but I have a podcast coming with Ryan and Hillary Lampers that's going to explain all this that I'm telling you right now. So there's energy is transferred, biological energy, cellular energy, vitality. And so if you're eating those things, there's a good chance that it's negatively affecting your health. Maybe not right now. And of course, it's better than McDonald's. But there's a keto trajectory, a keto spectrum. And I think, the first thing is just cutting out the carbs and eating more good fats and so forth. But over time, we want to get to a point where we're getting a lot of plant-based fats, material, relying on less on, factory farm meats and so on. So anyway, good question about the resources for that. And so where can you learn about how to be, a more vegetable-based keto diet? We have a lot of e-courses on that, so I'll post that below, or you can go to Deanna's Instagram. She's at Real Food Lab on Instagram.com/Real Food Lab. In that bio is all the recipes that these are low carb, these are gut healthy, high fat that will help you learn how to make really good recipes they're vegan friendly but also keto. All right, so we've been going here for about 24 minutes, guys. All right, Carol, thanks for being here. Probably a chicken soup is old remedy. Yeah, so you can do bone broth. That's a good remedy as well. Rockstar Fitness says, is there an impairment in your methylation pathways to make SAMe? So you won't make enough carnitine, coenzyme Q10, or other compounds. Rockstar Fitness, that is so, so awesome. And you bring up a great point, Rockstar Fitness. I know you're obviously into fitness and nutrition and all that. And I wanted to give away this book and bring up this idea because a lot of us in the fitness, nutrition space or keto space, we don't really recognize so much or pay much attention to methylation and methylation reactions and the genes that govern those processes, but they're very important. Methylation, affects our body's metabolic response to the different macronutrients that we eat and to the exercise demands. So I wanted to kind of highlight this because Dr. Ben and I are going to share this a little bit more on the podcast, and I just wanted to plant the seed in your head that there's a connection between food cravings, carbohydrate cravings, how much fat we burn or don't burn, how much water we retain, and our body's methylation response, and our body's methylation status, and the genes that govern methylation. So that's what's going on. So Carol, thanks for being here. He says again, a Hippocrates quote: "To eat when you feel sick is to feed your sickness. But in this day and age, micronutrient reserves and functioning autophagy, apoptosis are probably the limiting factors." Yeah, but in traditional Chinese medicine, one of the big, things along those lines that you were saying, Carol, is just to get food out. I remember, D. Blanco, a veterinarian doctor in Santa Fe, New Mexico, was helping when my dog was sick, and maybe it was 06 range, 07 range. And, I was feeding my dog Shasta, who's still with us, thankfully, a raw food type diet. And she was like, what, if she's feeling sick and having GI issues and lethargic, just have her fast for 3 to 4 days. And it really helps. So, Carol, thanks for sharing that quote. So, Luke says, I've been doing it nearly every day for 2 weeks. Awesome. Okay, so Kristen says, I totally agree about the chi. Awesome, Kristen, thanks for that. Sometimes I feel like a little woo-woo, a little out there when I bring that up about the chi of the food and all that. So anyways, all right, guys, I'm going to go back through these comments. And if you're watching the replay, I'll be watching these comments as well. I hope you have an awesome weekend wherever you are in the world watching this right now. Definitely check out Lithium Orotate. If you drink filtered water, if you sauna. Oh, by the way, I didn't talk about sauna. Thanks for that, Mike. Sauna therapy can be very, very helpful to help you if you're feeling sick and lethargic, right? It's what the body actually does, is create different proteins to increase body temperature, chaperones and other proteins. And so the sauna therapy, by increasing your body temperature, can help you eradicate and make the milieu for the offending pathogen that's making you feel sick less comfortable, and it can help you recover faster. So sauna therapy can be very beneficial as well. All right, so I'm going to sign off. Hope you have an awesome, awesome weekend. Dwight, definitely send me an email, mike@highintensityhealth.com, with your address so I can get this book out to you guys. The Dirty Gene Summit, click the link below. It's fabulous. And I'm going to sign off. Again, I'm so grateful that you tuned in this far, that you're still watching, that you're still here. Thanks, that means a lot to me. And again, as always, if you like these videos, hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll be catching up with you soon with Dr. Ted Naiman to talk about hyperinsulinemia and all the factors involved there. All right, guys, see you soon.